speak from the BIPOC perspective as far as that environment, and then strategies for marketing to that environment as well too. So it makes me feel good that I got some folks in the room that are familiar faces as well as new faces that'll totally understand. I want to change this up just a little bit. As I go through this presentation, it's going to be short and sweet. I am not challenged by questions. I am going to walk through the content. It's very simple. If you raise your hand, I do not mind you stopping me and asking me to elaborate or to answer one of your questions. I'm totally okay with that because I think that that's what it's all about. A lot of times when we start talking about the BIPOC community, people tend to get maybe a little bit nervous because they don't know how to approach it or how to actually address it. So I want to make it very easy as I can. So again, sorry for the delay, guys. Attention in the house. I'm gonna get started, guys. Jeff, should I? Do you need me to close that door? Or we're good. We're good. Perfect. Okay, guys. So as Jeff pulls this up, I just decided to pull it up on my phone because we're behind the 8-ball here. So this is going to be about the BIPOC agenda using the CLT model. And so I'm going to speak from my, first thing I'm going to speak from is what challenges face underserved communities of color. And the first thing is it's lack of knowledge of grant funds. Whenever we start talking about what monies are coming to people in the Black, Indigenous, and people of color community, they really don't understand what grant funds are versus down payment assistance. So what this leads me to believe is that we have not done a great job of educating them before we try to actually sell a model. So the first thing that I do is we do orientation every 2 weeks. It's the first thing we understand is what is down payment assistance versus what is grant funds and how the model actually works. So that's the first thing that I try to attack because the first thing they think is, do I have to pay back these monies? And so that is a big deal to people. The next thing that we want to talk about is what is actually affordability. Whenever we talk about what affordability is, us versus what they believe is two different things. This is a big deal. They'll tell you, a borrower will tell you in a minute, you say that this is affordable. My rent payment is $1,600 a month. And I think affordability should be, I need to have a $500 a month payment. So again, this is another opportunity for us to educate. So you're probably going to hear this theme throughout this whole session is that we are not succeeding a lot of times, particularly in the BIPOC community, is because literally we're not slowing this whole train down and educating. Whenever you take the time out to educate the Black and brown community, the Indigenous community, it changes everything. They look at you differently, they treat you differently, because you can say, yeah, I have something of value. However, the education piece has to be there. Make sense? The next thing is understanding credit. We're going to talk about this until we're blue in the face. A lot of people don't understand what credit is. Definitely when you're in a community that credit is not talked about, it's a very intimidating and frightful thing. I have had borrowers come to me and say, hey, I have a 550 credit score. I should be able to buy a house. Yeah. But at the end of the day, this is the whole thing. How did you come up with that? How did you come up with that idea that you can buy a house with a 550 credit score? And then also, too, what makes you think that you understand credit? Is it another teachable opportunity? Absolutely. So again, it's going to all go back to understanding credit and how credit works. Whenever you're in a challenged, underserved community, the first thing that a challenged, underserved community thinks is that I'm going to be attacked. If somebody in an underserved community says, well, I already pay $1,900 a month for rent, why are you asking me all of these questions? Why are you telling me that I don't qualify for a better interest rate or this, that, the other? And then all of a sudden, everybody in the whole process gets super frustrated. However, I'm going to even jump to the other side of the fence. My white borrowers are not challenged by any of these questions at all. at all. You mean to tell me you're going to give me grant funds? You mean to tell me you're going to help me get into a house? It's not even a conversation. Oh, you need me to get my credit together? Oh, that's not a problem. So what is going on? Is this person that is non-BIPOC getting information that the black and brown community, indigenous community is not getting? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Because where there's a negative narrative, that information travels very, 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 very fast. And we are in a position right now where we actually have to combat every negative narrative, which actually gets exhausting. But the only reason why it gets exhausting is because we refuse to slow the train down and educate. That's the only thing that we need to really focus on to make a difference. So with that being said, let's talk about the fear of the unknown. What is this going to cost me? Whenever you get into a world where people feel like it's going to cost them something, you also now run into another roadblock. So the way that we were raised, I'm from a little town called Gary, Indiana. I have a friend here, Portia, the big cheese. She's from Gary as well. We have been sold a bill of goods for a long, long, long time. We bought it. We bought it hook, line, and sinker. That's why this topic isn't very popular. You know, typically when you're talking about challenges like this, people run from these challenges, but then all of a sudden they're faced with these challenges, but they're not in a room when the conversation happens, and they wonder where they're failing at. So if someone doesn't look like me or have my experiences, then how do you get on the same level to understand and you actually have something of value to present to me? You need to slow the train down and we need to talk about it. We need to talk through it. Sometimes you got to find out where a person is from. So where are you from? How were you raised? You are their loan officer. You are their resource. You got it? Thank you so much. I appreciate you on this one right here. Thank you. Appreciate you, Jeff. So I just jumped to fear of unknown. So the fear of the unknown piece stops a lot of borrowers from making the next move. So we have to overcome their fears. Just buying a home, it's not good enough. There's emotion and there's a real person behind this whole mechanics of this whole thing. We keep trying to remove the person and the personality and get down to business. And unfortunately, in the BIPOC community, it does not work that way. You walk into a white situation, quote unquote, we're talking stereotypes. They show up, what's the program? What we doing here? You need to look at my credit. Unfortunately, people of color are just not like that. They're just not like that. It's just, we just have a different plight. So a lot of this comes down to racial discrimination. When a black person walks into the room, the first thing we think, and it's somebody that is I don't even want to say that, but let's just say they're a person of color, a person that's non-BIPOC. The first thing we think is, how much money are you going to make off of me? It's the first thing we're thinking. Am I about to be robbed? How is this going to look? Are you going to fast forward through all the documentation? Are you going to, throw one underneath me? Is this going to be a one and done? Let me just go ahead and throw you out there. Let me go ahead and give you this and get out of my face. A lot of people that are BIPOC, we talk about these things behind closed doors. So I'm going to give you a couple of secrets. What we're telling you is differently than what we tell one another. So why are we doing this? We're doing this because it is a safe space. You get it? So a lot of times, I always say this, lending is so extraordinarily easy. It is easy. Dealing with people is hard. True? So what happens is that if you overcome all of these obstacles and you get down to the nitty-gritty and you show that you actually have an investment into that community to say, I understand what you told me, your plight. I want to make sure that I overcome all those challenges. So just a little test. How many people deal with people of color in their business? I'm just want to know because I'm looking at hands. I would like to ask honestly, even if it's just one person to jump out there that is not a person of color, can you tell me what that interview process is like? And what do you say to them when there's a black person, a Latino, Asian, Middle Eastern, Indian? Can you tell me what that interview process is like if they're seeking your product? No one? Can you tell me what you say? what that interview process, do you actually speak to where they're from? Do you speak to their color? Go ahead, Nancy. Talk to everybody the same. So let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with treating everybody the same, but we're not the same. Because you're asking me to give you the secret parts that I haven't shared with anybody, that the fear of the unknown is that I'm afraid that you're going to judge me because it is a societal thing. We come from a place like, you don't talk about that. That's not happening. And a lot of times you get a lot of pushback. If Nancy has had a lot of success in that area, maybe we need to talk to Nancy about what she's doing specifically. Is it just treating people equal, or is she literally saying something different, or they're on a vibe with her? Vibe meaning that they don't feel intimidated by her. Maybe it's her presence, maybe it's her approach. All of these things contribute to us being successful and like making sure that we're making a positive impact and we're like not playing blind, not moving forward blindly in the BIPOC community if we want to make an intentional impact. And then it comes back to the transparency of the required documentation. So let's talk about documentation. When you ask a borrower, now you got to understand, so I'm not pulling this out of the thin air. This is 20-something years of being in lending and underwriting and all this stuff and being in the community and teaching first-time home buyer course. It's the same thing. I thought that 20-some years later, this thing would change. It seems like it's getting worse, and I was wondering, why is it getting worse when I say, these are the things that I need. I need 2 years tax returns, I need this, I need that, and all of a sudden, they're dragging their feet. Now Nancy can be honest. How many times have you requested documents and they drag their feet? A career. So let me tell you. So y'all want to know one really cool thing about what Nancy said, this career investment? Career investment is, I don't know if I really bought in. They started it. They stopped it. They started it. They stopped it. So this is where you can really, really shine, is you can like literally say, we are having a disconnect. A lot of disconnect is, I can't believe I'm going to buy a house. Is this really going to happen? Is this really real? And so people are emotionally challenged. So what they'll do is they'll sit in a situation, they'll get it started, they didn't get encouragement from you, they didn't get encouragement for their family, and then you come across your biggest challenges to date that will always be your biggest challenge in case it goes away in this lifetime, and that's social media. As soon as they hear that you're part of a land trust, or they don't understand the model, the next thing they do is they say, that don't work. They're taking you to the bank. They're doing this. You don't own the land. You're a glorified renter. Someone came to me and said that the land trust model is nothing but a glorified renter, which means is that when they close on this home, I am going to show up at their house as part of the land trust model and tell them this is how they're going to orchestrate their household. This is how they're going to cut their grass. This is what they can and cannot do with their land. This is this. This is what they told me to my face. Yet, they never talk to you or I. Where did they get this from? They got it from your enemy, social media. They got it from institutions that don't believe in affordable housing and this model. So when I say that you have a very, 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 very special role to play when you're delving into the land trust model, it is very, very unique. It's very, very special because we're in a time right now that we're doing something that nobody, not the best banks on the market right now are doing. We are giving affordable housing, opportunity for housing that no bank can offer right now for low to moderate income. Would you agree? Rates are where? Come on now. Let's call it what it is. We're looking at 7 and 8, and that ain't based on an 850 credit score. We know it's going to have to be conventional finance, and we know that part, right? But yet and still, if you look at the challenges that we face, there is nothing that we're facing right now that you literally can't overcome. You just got to dial it back just a second. This is prime opportunity. Everybody is talking about the land trust model right now. I remember when I first came to Rondo, everybody had all these negative narratives to to say about land trust, and then I hit the streets. That's what I did. I hit the streets. And I said, what do you know? Guess what? Nobody knew Jack or Diddley. Nothing. I said, you don't know Jack? You don't know Diddley? You don't know any of them? And then all of a sudden, guess what happens? We invited them to the house, to the Rondo house. They came. Guess what happened, guys? We started closing deals. We started getting offers accepted. We brought our realtor partners in. If you don't find value in this model and you can't sell it, they know it. If they think that we're just hole fillers, oh, every now and then I can throw you a bone. No, this CLT is not a bone thing. You don't throw me the crappiest deal or the lowliest borrower on the planet Earth. No, we want borrowers who have worked their tail off, who believe that they should have home ownership, but unfortunately, they just don't quite have the buying power to achieve home ownership. Make sense? My apologies. So how do we change the negative narrative of home ownership, and how do we reinforce the benefits of home ownership to low to moderate income households? So I say it in this way. Whenever you tell someone, which is very, very tricky, whenever you tell someone that they're a low to moderate income, how do you think that that makes a person of color feel? Can anybody speak to that? It makes a person feel small, right? Come on now. Come on now. That's speaking from wisdom. So if someone were to approach me and say, you just another black boy, am I? To them, I am. When I say that we are talking to a whole entire human being, that's why this topic is very, very, very unpopular. Because you are talking to someone that you're telling that I have this great product, but you only fit this because you're this poor black person, or you're this low to moderate income Asian, or I know that, that your land was taken from you to an indigenous person, but I want to help you get a little piece of that back. People talk crazy like that. This is a real conversation. It's a real conversation. When you refuse to have a real conversation with a person of color, you miss opportunities. You miss it. But then you say, but I'm white, or I'm this. You come up with 50 different reasons other than like what you said. Can you identify me as a person? At the end of the day, someone's finances can change at any time. So even though we send people through the orientation, through the model, right? They might not qualify. Maybe they do actually make too much money. What if their situation changes tomorrow? What if they're injured? They're on permanent disability. Do you think they're still entitled to home ownership? You think that they should just stay in an apartment because they can't afford a home because they're pre-approved for $50,000, $75,000? That's what traditional thinking is. Sorry, I'm gonna send your John Deere letter. Unfortunately, we can't help you. What we do is uniquely special in that way that we can say, I understand that you're on a fixed income. We have a young lady that we assisted. Her pre-approval was $47,000. We go up to $125,000. There's other down payment assistance out there. When they calculated her mortgage payment was $396 a month. Not only is she on disability for the rest of her life, her child is on Social Security, single mother, achieving home ownership. Does that make sense to you? So we can't get numb. We can't start moving out the way thinking that if you change this woman's life or this man's life, at the end of the day, does it speak to what you really believe in that model? Absolutely, 100%. Will you get somebody else, hopefully in their family, or somebody else to speak well of you? And I'll say this before I go to the next slide. The late, great Dr. Maya Angelou says that when someone speaks well of you, they bless your name. And when they speak ill of you, they curse your name. So if you want somebody to bless your name and you believe in what you're doing, we need to actually have that real conversation with the borrower and see how actually we can benefit and help them. The next thing is building wealth through shared equity situation. So, shared equity situation, so what that means is that can we do this alone? Absolutely not, right? Let's use simple math. Who do we need in order to make these processes, this transaction work? We have our realtor partners, we have our lending partners. And so the thing about it is that if you're in the wrong partnerships, it's gonna make your job even worse. Why would you deal with the lender that don't speak to your client like you speak to your client? Why would you do that? So you have nobody else? So you must don't like your lender or your realtor? Why would you do that? That just makes no sense to me. It makes you think that something's really off with you. It's already hard enough that the person is quote unquote, which my partner here, Karen, and I talk about, I know that we have to say it in a certain way. I hate saying low to moderate income. Your current income is. That's what your current income is. Why do you have to be low to moderate income? What I can say is that according to, this is how much you can make a year in order to approve for this product. But I'm not gonna tell you that you're low to moderate income. I'm gonna say, based on your current income, like have some class. Have some class. So with that being said, if you got the wrong partners, you're missing an opportunity. I'm gonna try to be classy. I wish one of my realtors or one of my lenders would talk to my client any different than I'm talking to them. They are no longer a realtor. They are no longer a lender. They are not welcome at the house of Rondo. We don't play with nobody's kids. Because at the end of the day, we've put the time in. We have a powerful, powerful tool to change lives, and you will not taint it. You will not do that. So that's my answer to that. So building wealth increases your buying power. So in other words, let's just do the simple math. You pre-approve for 100 grand, we give you another 125,000, you're at 225. Someone said to me on yesterday, on day one, they said, hey, I layered up to 5 down payment assistance with your funds, and my client bought a $375,000 house, and they had over $200,000 in down payment assistance. I said, well, praise the Lord. Because can you imagine using Rondo's dollars, using Habitat for Humanity dollars, Portia's dollars, using these dollars? So do you get where I'm going? I want to make sure that you're keeping up. Don't you know that that's a skilled loan officer? Why wouldn't you want that person on your team that knows how to layer these dollars? Imagine the realtor that believed in the relationship as well too. This is how much magic is happening with the CLT model. So here we are, we're at monthly savings. Now, if you see up here, one says monthly savings and one says lower monthly payment. I'm gonna tell you why I wrote it that way, so I'm jumping around a little bit. Overall, it's not about just saving on a lower monthly payment. It's an overall monthly savings when it comes to a lot of things as of, D7 in 2025? Am I saying that right for the tax? D4. So 2025, we're gonna get a reduction of 25% on property taxes. Paramount time to sell this model. There's gonna be additional savings, just not monthly payment, but it's gonna affect their entire monthly household savings. If you are not sitting down, talking to them about all the benefits of the land trust, and saying, let's talk savings. Let's talk what your monthly is gonna look like. Let's talk about your savings that you'll be able to put an extra, you can keep the lights on overnight if you need to because you're scared of the dark. That your light bill's gonna be up $20, but you're making so much savings a month. I wanna be sold. Have you ever, there's a store we have a store here, a mall called the Galleria. I wanna say it's the Gucci store, I wanna say. I think it's like the Gucci. Louis Vuitton. Thank you, Portia. Thank you. Yeah. So I challenge people, and I try to be real. So go into a Louis Vuitton store in the Galleria, and I said, are you going to Louis Vuitton this weekend? Is something special happening? They said, oh, what's happening? I said, we just going to Louis Vuitton. They said, oh, it's not a sale? I said, show me where Louis Vuitton has ever had a sale. Can anybody tell me? Oh, have anybody heard about the new Louis Vuitton wholesale outlet store? Have you heard of it? You dang on right you haven't. They believe so much in their product, they're telling you exactly where to get off at. That's exactly what they're telling you. They're saying everything in here, oh, you gonna pay. But yet and still, you have something of greater value and you don't know how to sell it. Because you're challenged by the fact that you're gonna get all this pushback. You're challenged by the fact that, can I really sell this? Because you know psychologically in the back of your mind, all these things are against me, the negative narrative, who are my partners? Guess what? We can skinny all this down and say, guess what? I'm more than happy to help you. However, we need to have a full conversation. I need to see where you come from, where your mind is, so I can serve you at the highest level. You will change people's life. You will change people's life. So with that saying, with us, we do, I'm not sure if you all do, we do post-close stewardship. Do any of you guys do post-close, checking on your client? Do it, great. Post-close. So how important is post-close to you on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it 10? Is it 10? How many of you guys are sending out newsletters to your post-close people telling them what's going on with your CLT in the community? That's really good. How many people are responding to your newsletters saying thank you? No? So it's opportunity, right? So if we're in the same boat. So when you think about opportunity, we're talking about BIPOC. We're talking about BIPOC. We ain't talking about the one that says, thank you for the check, deuces. We talking about all those people that we had conversations with, all those people that we nurtured, all those people that we helped get to where they are, and now the post-close stewardship starts. What we have to say, are you happy with what we did for you? And by the way, we have these resources, and we want to make sure that you don't feel like you are just a number. Most people that buy a house, they have what we call what? Buyer's what? Do you think it's the same thing with the CLT model? Of course it is. They still bought a house. Karen, can I be transparent? We had a young lady close. Guess what she had? Say it. She had buyer's remorse. She loved the house. Oh my God, I bought a house. What comes with that? So if you do a good job, which is always a process, what do we do after we close? We have to make sure that we amp up our game when it comes to post-close stewardship. You are building a brand. And before you know it, when you start to grow and you start getting bigger and bigger in the community and start making a greater impact, guess who's going to speak for you? Everybody in that community land trust, because you did the work and you put all your efforts into that. That means a lot to BIPOC people, because we are so used to getting dropped off on the side of the road. People with money don't feel that way. I've done so many loans in my lifetime, I can't even add it up, and they put down $700,000, $1 million. They put all this money down. Do you think they give a flying hoo-nanny who I am? Little boy, go do that job. These people don't send me no Christmas card. They don't call me and say, thank you. Oh, you're such a benefit to my life. They don't. They could care less. Dude, I'm putting $1 million down. I need 1.7 million. Here's my 850 credit score. Call me when it's clear to close. That's how people with money treat you. They don't care who you are. But what happens when you got a $50,000 pre-approval? But then you treat them like they got a $50,000 pre-approval. That's not classy, okay? So lower down payment. What do I mean by lower down payment? What's your minimum investment in your land trust? Anybody? 1,000. Minimum? Everybody on the $1,000 page? So you mean to tell me my minimum investment is $1,000 and I'm gonna buy a whole house. And on top of that, I'm gonna have a positive equity position in the home. How do you get a positive situation? You got $200,000 in down payment assistance or grant funds, and you got a $50,000 approval, and you walk in a 25% equity position. Is that a no-brainer? Well, you have some realtor to say, I still think that you guys are robbing them. So you don't want to help your client? Is a community land trust model, is it a Band-Aid or is it a real loan? It's a real deal, right? Is it a Band-Aid if that's all they can afford? If they can afford a house using the model, it's not a Band-Aid. Otherwise, this would have never been achieved. If we don't talk to the clients that way, we are literally behind the 8 ball. The first conversation may not work. I have never heard anybody tell their kid, do good in school. And they go, got it. It just don't work that way. It would be nice, but it just doesn't. I've been a hard-headed kid. So what does it take? Constant reinforcement, constant conversation, and then you have an aha moment. When you have an aha moment, you got a client that's bought in, hook, line, and sinker, right? Now you can serve the client. Yes, sir.
So I just, as a California in the room, when y'all are saying that there's a minimum of 1,000 in down payment, is that just a Minnesota thing, or is that a 3% thing? Or?
Generally depends on what you're doing when it comes into the affordability housing space. What we have here is like a minimum investment to be eligible for to actually achieve a loan, a first mortgage. So that generally is $1,000 in Minnesota. California is special.
It's like 3%.
That is correct. So you're pretty much just doing traditional conventional financing, and then where are you getting 3% from?
Well, the 3% usually has to come from their own sources.
And that's why you're in California. We have the same products here in a traditional open market situation, but in Minnesota, our price points are different than yours, products different than yours. And so for that reason, it's a benefit to live here versus there when it comes to that. A lot of times, realtors are offended. This is interesting. I have seen some weird things. They're offended that you're going to give me $1,000 and you ain't worth buying a house. I have had realtors and lenders say, I would never do a loan with $1,000 minimum into the transaction. I would never do it. That person is not deserving of a house. Not once, not twice, dozens of times. They said that, why would you do that? If you have $1,000 in transaction, after you close, you have $1,000 in your checking account, that person is in poverty. You are setting them up to fail. They do not deserve a house. I said, okay, so let's have the conversation, right? These are all really, really, really good things to talk about. If you're a person that doesn't mind being challenged, I can tell you right now, unequivocally, with all confidence, that you will rise above mostly anybody that you're encountering today. Because most people don't want to be challenged. They don't want to challenge themselves. And they definitely don't want to challenge the people around them. Because we want to be liked so much. But then when you want to be liked so much, who suffers? Everybody suffers. It's not a real relationship. There are those, like myself and you, that when we collaborate, we make magic happen for those who otherwise it wouldn't happen for. Make sense? So you have realtors and you have lenders saying, we don't do affordable housing products. And if we do it, we'll only do 2 every 6 months. Now, you know you can't say that, right? But they're bold. They're bold. We're talking about HMDA reporting. And guess who's on those HMDA reportings that's getting treated like this? BIPOC. Ain't no white folks on there. None. None. This is a real thing. It's black and brown folks that's got so many denials. When you do the HMDA report, like, where did this application go? Well, why didn't they get help? It's us. It's us. Did they qualify? Well, Well, why did you send out the Dear John letter? Why? I challenged some financial institutions, some big financial institutions here. Say, can you show me how many people of color you rejected? You didn't even refer them to a credit agency, a nonprofit. You didn't refer them to anybody. Well, Damon, we're not going to get into that. Well, I'm just little old me, just thought I'd ask. You know, I can't take them on, but I can ask the question. So some institutions really believe that if they get a minimum investment of $1,000, that they will be buying a what? Defaulted loan. Doesn't that sound discriminatory to you? You already told me that they're going to fail. That's what you just told me. That person is going to fail, and I want nothing to do with it. Because they only gave $1,000. Do you know that my mother bought her house, her first house years ago, and I had to beat my family to death to be homeowners? Now everybody owns a home. Do you know that I had to do the same thing to my mother? She had a $1,000 investment, and she's halfway paying off our house right now. $1,000 investment, school teacher, don't make a lot of money. I subsidize her income. And my mother's winning. Winning, yeah, the one with $1,000 investment. Down payment assistance, the whole 9 yards to make home ownership affordable because she cannot. Her rent was $2,200 a month. My mother's mortgage payment is $932 a month. She lives in a 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-story townhome, 2-car garage, the whole nine. Her association dues $140 a month. And she was paying off somebody else's house for years. And you think it's hard to sell this model? It's not. But if I wouldn't have got involved, my mother would not have a house because they told her, we can't do that loan. You only have $1,000. This is an ongoing problem. So I'm going to move on. So let's talk about strategic marketing to emerging communities of color. So value begins with understanding the needs of the community. So only way that you can find out what the needs of the community is that you actually have to talk to the community. Is it hard to go out into community and talk to people that don't look like you? Anybody got any black friends? I'm just curious. I'm watching you, trust me. I'm looking at hands. Anybody got any Asian friends? I'm loving it. Hey, I'm watching you. Anybody? Anybody got any Mexican friends? Latinos? Okay. I ain't talking about y'all know. So I don't want nobody saying I got a black friend just because you know somebody black. I don't want them. I'm saying, I'm using the word friend for a reason. Do you have any person of color as friends? Do you? You do. So shouldn't they be your fan base? Are they your fan base? Are they your fan base? Do you go to your friends of color and say, how do I handle this? In the Latino community, in the black community, in the Asian community, in the Indian community. Do you go to them? Do you ask them to solicit you as a resource for what you can bring to the table when it comes to housing? Do you do that to your network, to your friends? Then why are they your friends? I'm serious. You don't do this job for free. You got to think outside the box. You have friends of color. For what you do is a powerhouse, life-changing model. Why are you not using your friends of color to impact communities of color, which I'm going to get to? So, craft marketing materials designed specifically for the targeted audience. Most CLTs, correct me, because I love correction. If I need to be corrected, I can take it. Who is soliciting to people of color in their CLT? Look, be careful, because I'm going to call you on it. Who is soliciting to people of color in your market? I love it, thank you. I love it, thank you. So, can anybody tell me who's not soliciting to people of color in your community why you're not doing it? If you can be honest, it's a safe space.
I don't know how to reach them. So we looked at what are barriers to why people don't reach their application as a first step, but that's why we, so, I don't know.
Thank you for the honesty. Anybody else? You don't know how. Anybody else honest? Why you don't market to communities of color? Because you think that they're going to tell you no. That's why you don't market to communities of color. Fear of rejection is a two-way street. Just like the person you're offering the product to, their fear that they actually won't get your product too. So what do you have? So I'm going to tell you, marketing, material, planning, all those things cost money, right? Would you say? Oh, for the black community, it costs this. Okay, so may I ask this one thing? What's free to use for marketing? All you smart people. Yep. Word of mouth and Facebook, LinkedIn. So why have you not taken to social media to say, I want to make a positive impact in the BIPOC community? I need your engagement. I want to make a difference in the community. It's my purpose. I have a model that can help people achieve homeownership. Why don't you put that on your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page? Why isn't that a strategy? You think it's going to open up Pandora's box? You think people of color are actually going to come to the table and you're like, oh shit, excuse my French. What do I do now? What do I do now? Guys, I always said everybody that needs to be in the room is always in the room, whether I'm speaking to 1,000 people, 3,000 people. I've spoke to thousands of people at one time. I'm not intimidated. I'm not scared. If you have the goods, take it with confidence. You have a model that can change lives. The only way that people are never going to benefit from your model is that if you got some personal hangups or you don't believe in the model or you think you're going to be rejected, we can deal with all of that and we can change the canvas of the United States as far as the land trust model is concerned. Yes, ma'am.
More so a statement than a question right now.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the marketing piece, but here's my thing. Who's writing the material? And does your organization reflect in some way, shape, or form the community that you're trying to reach?
Let me answer that question. I'm going to be nice. I'm in Minnesota. I'm going to say it that way. And my white brothers and sisters often have a really, really hard time with combating the narrative that black people want to work with white people in this realm. Let's call a spade a spade. That's a very crazy idea. I have never in my life walked into a grocery store and said, damn it, where's the black people at? I am not about to check out with this white cash register lady, or I'm not. What's wrong with you? I have never went to the movies and got my ticket ripped by a white guy and said, oh no, where's the Latinos at? I am not watching that movie. That's how small our thinking has gotten. And the person that's helping you do that is the people that we choose to be around. Yes, I'm talking BIPOC still, and yep, I'm trying to motivational speak you up. You can walk into any establishment, and you already know why you're there. Make sense? You know why you're there. I don't care what color you are. I'm going to need you to come to my table. I got an order I want to place. Bring that wine over. Do this, do that. I am not thinking about anything else. Think about it like that. If you get off your tail and you do some groundwork and you walk your community, by the way, I'm Beth, I'm Randy, I'm this, I work at this CLT, I work at this institution, Is that scary? Why is it scary? Because the first thing you're thinking is, I'm going to get rejected. I'm putting myself in harm's way. But you're selling a model that has a value that is incredible. If you don't see it, why are you doing it? Get out the way. I have to be biased for 2 seconds. I happen to, so I'm the senior housing program manager at Rondo. I was blessed to have this team here sitting at the table. And here we have a team that 100% supports me. Makia is cray-cray. Crazy as they come.
Thank you.
It is the biggest compliment. It is the biggest compliment to say that she is so far gone, that she lets me be so far gone that we can make an impact. I can't talk Makia off a ledge. Our deputy director is Coco in the blue suit next to Makia. That's Makia's right hand. Coco can talk her down. The dynamics in the relationship with our CLT is very, very unique and special. It did not happen by happenstance. We are intentional with everything we do. We talk black, we talk white, we talk indigenous, we talk Asian, we talk Somali, we talk all these things. Not one person at this table shies away from anything. Is that special? Can you talk about everything under the sun at your CLT, or is it all business? Well, if it's the people's business, then why can't we talk about it? You're going to keep having the same problems when you can be one of the game changers. I want to look up one day on social media, and I want to be able to see you guys' face on social media talking about, oh, they doing it over there. I want to envy you. It's motivation to me. I want to envy you. And you don't look like me. I want to envy you because I know that you actually got the message. And then once you start making huge impacts in the community that way, everybody's going to know your name. Your intention is going to be pure, and you're going to change lives. Material should be translated in different languages. Do you agree? Is that expensive? Ain't no expensive than what you already produced already. You just said it in another language. You lazy. Yes, ma'am.
How many languages have you been translating your material into, and how do you?
Oh, I'm going to tell on myself. So I've been with Rondo now going on 4 months right now, and we're about to translate in every language that's known to man. We're going to even do it on our website. I have a friend that runs an AI firm. We're going to translate in every language, so you'll be able to go to our website. You're able to click on the language that you want it to be translated to. Our whole page translates into Arabic, Somali, Spanish, all of them. Don't play with me. Play with your kids.
We've had conversations about that, and do you then have somebody who is fluent in the language check out the translation?
Thank you so much. So do we have somebody to help us in that language that they speak? This gives you purpose to partner. You will never, if you don't speak Arabic, you're not going to speak Arabic tomorrow. Do you know that we have a big Arabic community? If you live in California, the Iranians run it. We have a whole I have a lot of Iranian friends. You go into the market in the Iranian community, you ain't getting no love unless you're a part of that community. You can stop by and say hi and buy their stuff, but they running it. Whenever you have the challenge of different languages, you need to call in your partners. See the opportunity? Do you know any realtors that speak Arabic? You're going to find out. Do you think that realtor want in? It's helping who? Their people. You have any realtors that speak Spanish? You have any lenders that speak Spanish? You have any lenders that speak Somali? Yes, ma'am.
So we have connected with realtors that in the Asian community. How do you find the realtors that are fluent in the different languages? The Asian community is really stepped up. There's a whole office that they're like driven for working with their people in their community, getting them into home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
How do I find that?
Easy. None of this is hard. None of this is hard. Only thing I'm saying is that it is a strategy to decide which way do you want to go, and you need to solicit to people who's interested in your value prop. Your value prop is this model. Otherwise, these people will be left to the wind. These are people who don't have high approval levels. I need people who believe in this model. I need people, this is a call to action. This is a request that you can make on your website. This is something you can go to social media. All these things are free. And you can say, this is what I need. We had a closing the other day. last month rather, and it was a Latino person. And so clearly none of us speak Spanish. So guess what? Well, Coco speaks a little Spanish. but we need somebody that can translate our ground lease. So guess what we did? I told Karen, let's call the attorney. We called the attorney and say, look, we got to close, and he had a person that was translating all the paperwork throughout the process. He had a Spanish-speaking realtor. He had a Spanish-speaking loan officer. But they can't do the ground lease because we use attorneys for that. So we emailed the attorney. The attorney said, I got you. Where there's a dollar, they will find somebody. See opportunity? So now we know we got a Spanish-speaking closer now that can do the ground lease. Yes, ma'am.
Applications are translated to.
So, no, we haven't translated the application yet. This is a whole process. I'm rolling out this idea that I'm rolling out with Rondo, the same thing I'm rolling out. Like, this is an even playing field for all of us. This is not anything that's magical. This is something that's simply, how do we do this? Because if you're in the market or in an area where there's no Latinos, you don't never have to worry about that. So you can skinny it down. You can find out who's in your area and who you want to serve. At the end of the day, all these things can be done. A lot of times when I communicate in the past with different languages, I'm going to tell you how I cheated all the time. Successfully as a loan officer, cheated. What I did was I literally typed in English and I pulled up Google Translator. I dropped it in there, cut and paste on email, and I closed all those deals. All of them. All of them, got through the 1003, got through everything, got through TRID, the whole nine. And then at the closing, I said, this person speaks Swahili. Figure it out. You're a title company. Get off your keister, call a translator, figure it out. That's their jobs. If you tell people that I have something I need to do and I can't do it alone, why should you feel like you need to do it alone? Do the ask. I need help. And keep asking until you get it. So, community engagement events in the target market area. Sorry, I don't mean to put anybody on the spot. Who goes out to the community that they want to serve and do community engagement events or have them at your place of business? You do? You do? Anybody else? Callers? Caller? Yes. Community engagements events are very, very, very intimidating for the average person. The reason that it's intimidating is, God forbid, they ask a challenging question, or what if they don't show up at all? Consistency is key. Go to your local church. I can guarantee you, if you go to churches, churches will connect you with people who are migrating to the United States, doing things, and they're providing services. These connections run so deep. Now it's turning into a lot of work, right? It is a lot of work. But what if your partners are helping you? Strategic partnerships, right? It is not done overnight. It takes a minute. But if you want to be on the map, this CLT thing is blowing up. There's people that came to this conference for one reason only, to create a CLT. Does anybody here know that? Well, why are they buying in? Because not only are they ready to work their tails off, they know where they reside. People need this. People need it. It's a value prop. It's a value prop. So, establish relationships with community partners. Again, so solicit their attendance. Pastor such and such, Congressman such and such. I'm doing this thing, I need you to come. And I need access to your Rolodex. Do you believe in it, or do I need to sell it to you first? I need your people. A closed mouth doesn't get what? You guys are smart. Because I'm hungry, I'm greedy as all get out. When I leave here, I'm eating. Closed mouth don't get fed. I can't just suck it up through my nose. I need to chew it. At the end of the day, the catch-22 is that I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. We are in a situation right now where we can change lives, and we really have to think outside the box. I hope that the challenge is not your leadership. I hope that if you're the leader, that you're not holding your people back. Because if you just think outside the box for a minute, not only will you change, you will change everything around you. People have done this since the dawn of time. There's no template in place for that. I'm going to tell you from my perspective. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. I don't care if you're on the right or left. My one question to anybody with a pulse is that I have this model, and I would like to know, is this something that you're interested in for the people that you impact on a daily basis, people that you're responsible for, people that otherwise wouldn't be able to obtain homeownership without this model? Do you know people like that? So I really don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're independent. I think that when you start calling out things, saying that your strategic positioning is just going after Democrats, if that's what you are, Republicans, if that's what you are, if that was something strategic like that, I think that you would be in harm's way. But when you open up the playing field to everybody who you can benefit their people or their connections, I think is a compliment to who you are and what you're bringing to the table. Because I can tell you right now, with hardly no thought at all, I can guarantee you that we have homeowners that are Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Make sense? The simplest form I could say is to not complicate things. Having an open-ended conversation, saying that I have this model, saying that it can benefit people, is for homeownership. Homeownership is a right. And at the end of the day, that's how I speak to people across all spectrums. I say the same things to pastors. And then when I say it to pastors, do you have anybody in your congregation that needs to hear this? Because let me tell you something, the black church, they listen. But the black church ain't the black church no more. Everybody's in the black church. And at the end of the day, you don't have to be political. What you're trying to do is increase home ownership and benefit to people, otherwise they wouldn't have it. I want to tell you something about the power of the church. Historically, the church can do things that nobody else can do. When it's time to vote and everything, come on now, let's not. They go into the Catholic Church, they go into the black church, they go into the officials, I don't care what side of the fence, they run to the church. The church is a powerhouse when it comes to politics and getting engagement from the community. They run to the churches like it's the last thirst. That's the power of organized religion. It's the power of the church. It's the power of community, because church speaks to so many different things. That's powerful. In your community, you can do the same. I can speak to that. So I'm a black boy from the church my whole life. I'm a black boy from the South. I'm a black boy from the church. And then because that's such a very deep question, I'm actually going to throw it to the pastor in 2 seconds. But what happens in the black church, there's one thing, well, I'm going to, because clearly you went to a black church. You didn't go to no white church, did you? No, it was a white church? No, black church? Not me. No, I'm talking about when they asked for 10,000, it was a black church? Oh, yeah. Okay, exactly. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So the thing about it is that whenever you're asking a church organization for their contributions, what they're saying is that they want a contribution from you. A lot of times, historically, people have come to the black church to do one thing: take, siphon, take. So I do not believe, and I'm going to be very clear when I say this, it's not a pay-to-play thing. I think that the communication was bad. What it is that I would like access to do these things because it's bringing your organization profit, but it's not putting anything in their pockets. Yes, it's benefiting their people. There has to be a contribution. There has to be reciprocation. Definitely in the black church. Because typically, when you talk about the Catholic Church and how deep those pockets are and how huge their organization are, they throw some mean checks. It's just another day. It's just another day. Whereas the black church, we're constantly in a position where we're trying to build it. We're trying to make it have breath. We're doing all type of outreach. We're doing all type of fundraisers. We're trying to help the sick and shut in. We're doing this. We're doing that. And whenever somebody don't look like us, i.e. you, don't look like, I don't care who your representative is, the relationship is not established. If the relationship was established, it's a relationship thing where they would say, hey, we know Jeff. Jeff has been around. He's come into the community. He's a contributor. If we needed Jeff, we can call Jeff. And Jeff happens to know one of our congregants, et cetera, et cetera. When a relationship is not established, particularly in a black church, you're just coming in to siphon, take, and historically that's what's happened in the black church. Pastor, correct me. When we talk about opportunity, so I know I just have a few more minutes, so let me tell you this. I'm gonna kind of give you a little snapshot. If you are intentional after this conference is over, and you don't look like me or you look like me, what have you, I can guarantee you, I have this life where once I get done speaking, I don't care if it's one person, I will in fact hear about them, a huge, huge change that has happened to them. This is not only business, it is in fact personal to me. And I don't shy away from the opportunities. With that being said, if what you said, what the pastor just said, if you don't have a relationship with your own church, but the church is a powerhouse. It is political, just like anything else, but you also have to understand the history of the organization. Start those relationships. Those relationships may not manifest for a year. They might not manifest for 2 years. If you are coming to take and you're not coming to communicate, thank you, Jeff. If you're not coming to contribute, but you're coming to take, and you got this great value prop, is that fair? I have never seen anybody go into a relationship, a love relationship, and say, I'm going to just do all the work and you just get to sit back and be loved on. That's insane. I'm going to do all the cooking, I'm going to do all the cleaning, I'm going to take care of the kids, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you just get to sit back and be the king or be the queen and do nothing. How long do you think that relationship is going to last? That's crazy, right? That's out of control. Most of the time in business, that's how we treat our partners. What do you do for your realtors? Anybody? Caller. What do you do for your lenders? Caller. You want them to do stuff for you. Do you host open houses? Do you put together letters and send to them? Do you invite them to all your things? Well, we don't have checkbooks like that. Tell them where you're going to be. Invite them to things. Maybe get them a ticket or two to an event. Your strategy is using key partners to help you become successful, not only to your benefit, but to other people that otherwise would not have home ownership. What we do is so special. I have to keep saying it. If you get out of the CLT work, I can guarantee you, hands down, you're going to have to find purpose in something else. If you can find purpose in the CLT right now, during this market, with the temperature way that it is right now, is impactful. I'm going to say a couple things, and I am going to end this session.
I think transparency up front is also just important in that situation, like managing expectations of just like, look, we want to help as many people as we can. We have limited resources right now, but if you get in this pipeline, then we can use that to go after more money so that we can serve more people. So, yeah, I think as long as you're honest and don't have people caught off guard by the fact that you've only got enough funding at that point for one person, but you're going to fight to get more, then it alleviates that a lot.
I can't do this alone. I don't have all the answers. I'm doggone sure going to dig deep for them all, but this is what makes me great. This is because I have Justin, I have Coco, I have Karen, I have Addie. This is the team. These people make the magic happen, and I don't have to stand alone. And so thank you, Jay, for that response, because if we can benefit people with the information, it empowers you and encourages you.
So, Damon, I want to thank you for spitting all this game. Absolutely. For real. And I just want to make sure it's not lost. The piece about Parliament Funkadelic says, free your ass and your mind will follow. It really starts here, and really, like, I think, for me, my own personal journey about growing up in a white communal cultural experience and then going to Kepler Institute, which is based in a black cultural experience and community, really understanding, and it took many, many years to realize that my whole worldview is shaped by that. That there are things that I believed previously that were absolutely false, but were reinforced in order to reinforce the racial caste system that we have in the U.S. I would say that the social norms, the economic relationships, who owns what, are all designed to reinforce that hierarchical power and that hierarchical privilege. And that really, what Damon said about relationships is key. And relationships across difference. And that understanding and being able to put aside and believe that my whole worldview, everything I believe, is false. And that's like a really scary, challenging thing to step into, regardless of like what the color of your skin or race or background is. I think people who grow up in a black cultural experience understand it because life tells you that. Like life says, oh yeah, this is how this shit works. Like you gotta watch these people and these institutions. So I think one of the biggest piece that was just talked about was the idea of relationships. What's your story? And changing it even in your own organization about how you work with each other. Starting with like, who are the people who I'm working with? Who are the people in my community? And starting with porch conversations, lunches, dinners, and just going from there. That's how real learning and community is built. And stepping back from the mechanism or the service that I'm providing. I mean, yes, we like the idea of reciprocity. We want to see how our gifts and talents contribute to helping others contribute their gifts and talents too. And I did want to ask one question. You talked about the buy-in piece. Like, and I would say even after like 3 or 4 years of pursuing a community land trust, like a lot of, even in our own organization and community, it's like, I don't know if we're buying this, like the model. So what would you say to us about what your personally made you buy into it? And also I'd love to hear a little more about your personal story and journey to this kind of work.
Sure. So the short version is, I think I have 3 minutes. And I actually have 1 minute. So I'm about to tell you my personal story afterwards. The short version is buy-in is not overnight. Buy-in is not overnight. And at the end of the day, anything that we've ever purchased in our life, we've had a need for it. We go into relationships because we have a need. I have never seen anybody say, I can't wait to love on somebody where there wasn't a need. There's not a deficiency. Some people just cool single, leave me alone. I'm buying, McDonald's, nothing. So over time, the buy-in is different based on the need. So you do have my information. We are going to chat, so I can assist you best as I can and help you on that journey. But with that being said, I appreciate you all. I encourage you all to be amazing in the communities in which you work in. We are Rondo Community Land Trust. We are online. You can see us. We are, I hope, inspiration to you guys. I hope that you guys get the opportunity to take the tour of Rondo. I think it's a very powerful tour. And then with that being said, I want to thank you again for your time, and I hope that you're inspired. I hope that you're encouraged, and I hope that you do some great things. And that, yes, ma'am. Come on now. Come on now, Pastor. Yeah.